You stand before the Sirdar farm. The early morning presses its cold air against your back as icy fingertips walk up your spine towards the back of your neck. A whisper on the wind causes you to dash your eyes left to right. A sound behind you causes you to turn, expecting a figure, but nothing is there, save the barren fields flecked with the broken and trampled stalks of corn, rotting and foul. They seem to watch you, eager to feel more warm blood on the frozen ground they now belong to. The body of the woman lie before you. You stare at it again, your eyes regarding the spore-like fungi growing from her festering wounds, and for a long moment you stand staring at her as if waiting for something to present itself to you when you hear it. A scream. Not from the farm before you, not from the vacant, dark doorway that leads into the humble farmstead, now lifeless and cold, but from the path you came down. You hear a man scream.
Shit. I turn my back on the woman. The needs of the living are more pressing than the questions that the dead pose. And I run back up the path.
Where are you going? The cat says.
Come on!
And he sort of huffs and trots behind you. Oops, I got to mute my phone. You head back down the path in which you came, in which Burke dropped you off on his horse. And as you reach the end, you see a familiar sight. A thick mist is from the southern end of the road, and within it, it's maybe 15, 20 feet from you to the right of the path back towards the town. And where the mist sort of lingers on the path, you hear not just a man's scream, but a horse, Burke's horse, neighing in a painful way.
Burke! I call as I stride quickly toward the fog.
You reach the edge of the mist just as Burke steps out. Black blood speckles his face. He sort of runs out, a look of fear upon his head as he stares back towards the mist, which continues south towards the town and then sort of veers off to one of the cold fields. Nothing is left save the destroyed, almost eviscerated corpse of his horse. Burke pants.
You screamed.
Yes, there's something in that mist that came upon us like a creature itself.
In an instant, purple flame is held in my hand.
At first, he's a bit almost afraid, maybe, of you. He kind of steps back and then looks at his own long sword drawn. The mist is sort of swinging past a field and moving farther away. Why don't you give me a perception roll or an insight roll?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Once I join INVICTUS.
Huzzah!
There I am. There I am. Sorry. You caught me off guard.
Huzzah!
Ho, ho. 15. So that's a 17 perception.
Wow. Yeah. You watch the mist as it moves across the barren fields. It doesn't move like a cloud. It moves like a being in itself. And it looks quite different than the mist that encompassed you and Malakos. It almost seems its long tendril-like smoky legs seem to dance along the ground as if it's using this cloud to hide.
How far away is it?
It's now on the horizon. It's moving fast.
Is that the thing?
What thing?
Do you see? Just there. I point.
And he studies where you're pointing. That mist, yes. There was something in it. It killed. And he walks over to the horse, which is sort of... it's still painfully alive. It's sort of bucking its head in a groaning way, and he kneels down beside it. Valentine. And he runs his hand over its coarse gray mane. You can tell that they've been together for a long time. And
Damn
just
it, Harlan.
well, you won't like what happens next, because he puts it out of its misery. I won't go into details. Cover your ears. He pulls his dagger from... No, he kills the horse. And then he's like, we need to move it off the road. Can you help me? And kind of points to its back legs.
Yes, all right.
Yeah, and, you take 20 and the two of you slide the horse into the ditch at the side of the road so that wagons can pass easily. It was a large horse. He stands up, wiping the sweat from his brow, and sort of knowingly looks back towards town and then towards you. He's got sort of a pained expression that you can't quite understand.
Do you think that thing which killed your horse was responsible for this family's demise?
I don't think so, no.
And you injured it. I looked down at his sword, dripping with black blood now intermingled with that of his horse's.
Yeah, it's sort of a viscous, almost oil-like substance. I mean, you don't really have no, I guess you would have lantern oil, but very dark. And he kind of shakes his head. It wasn't a creature in the mist. It was... And he sort of dismisses the thought, as if pressing any further would make you think he mad.
Well, unless you're keen on walking back to town. Really, I know that you had no inclination to help me here with my duty, but if you like, you can come along with... truly, Harburg, I don't know yet what kind of evil plagues this place, and you would be helpful.
And the look that he sort of was offering you now has a name, and you can tell it's a hesitancy. He recognizes that this land that he may have called home for many years is now... It's almost a different land entirely. It's unrecognizable, a different planet's surface. He almost scans the horizon as if scanning a new land, except the land before you is uninhabitable and terrifying. And his eyes meet yours. They're sad, tired eyes. As I've said previous, they are the eyes of a man who takes little time for himself. Duty binds him to being awake so often. And despite this sadness and tiredness, you recognize that sense of duty as he nods. Yes, I think it would make sense for me to come with you. I'll follow your lead, though.
Come on, then.
The cat has been sort of like waiting at the end of the drive. And the two of you turn around, and the cat sort of turns its head to its side and kind of shakes its head and follows the two of you up the path.
I walk the path toward the house. The Sirdar family.
Sirdar, yeah.
Sirdar family used to live here.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, the wife is deceased on the front porch.
So about 15 feet from the front entrance of the small farm, it's sort of all single story. You see the body. It's sort of on the dirt path next to the garden, the start of the fields, as it were. There's sort of a small fruit and vegetable garden out front of the farm. The surrounding fields are where the crops would be. This is sort of where the personal produce would be. Personal produce. And she's sort of on the edge of that.
Did you also mention that the body of the husband was visible? He was out in the field?
No. You've only seen this body. This is
Got
the
it.
only thing. And just to reiterate, you kind of did a cursory examination of her, just looked at her. I don't think you rolled anything on her.
I think I rolled a nature check on like the spores or the mushrooms, but I failed because wasn't willing to get close enough to the body to truly give it a good once over.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that she has like warts all over her, and it looks to be they're like fungus spores sprouting from her wounds.
Gross. Wounds?
Yeah. Wounds.
What kind of wounds are we looking at?
Give me a medicine roll.
17.
Nice. Yeah, you can tell immediately that these are bite wounds. Piercing, deep bite wounds.
All over her body or more concentrated on certain limbs?
Very good question. It seems like the vast majority are on her upper torso, but with a 17, I will give you that the oldest of the bite wounds, or perhaps the most infected with this parasitic fungus, looks to be around her legs.
Oldest?
Yeah, not like years, but, like based on the state of this body, you can tell that the fungus is more prominent in the bite wounds around her lower half.
Does that lead me to believe that this woman was perhaps bitten in her lower half first, taken down, killed potentially, and then later nibbled on? You're talking about like
That's a
noticeable age of bites.
Yeah, give me another roll. It doesn't have to be medicine. It can be like wisdom
Investigation,
or intelligence.
probably.
Yeah, give me investigation.
Natural one.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
It's a good question though, right?
It's a great question. Honestly, and if you say it out loud to like Burke,
This fucking guy's name.
I know. He just goes by Burke.
Harburke?
He goes by Burke.
Can I call him B?
No.
Burke it is.
He's like, just call me Burke. And if you say it out loud, he's like,
Constable Burke, what do you make of these bite wounds? Here, do you see?
Yeah.
The ones around the legs seem to be those that are garnering the most fungal growth. Strange, do you think?
You know what? He can roll too, right?
Yay!
He ain't dead.
Do I have an NPC friend?
A little bit. Oh, yeah. 14. I'm going to say his
all about
investigation's like +2. I don't think they have the stats for what he is.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Never
Yeah,
mind.
they do.
Sorry. That's wisdom?
Investigation is intelligence, and
So
then
+9.
for anything that he's like proficient in, it would be listed at the top
Yeah, he's not.
on the stat block with like stealth and everything else.
No. Okay. No, 14. But you know what? That's pretty good. He kind of bends down and looks and says, I think what this tells is that she was perhaps bit and then lived a while longer before succumbing to these wounds on the top. Meaning, I believe this infection spread when she was still alive. And he sort of eyes the fungus growing in the wounds.
It's terrifying.
Very.
I'd like to do a quick look around the body, around the environment, the situation, to see if there's any other quote unquote clues.
Quota toa? Yeah, do it. Do it.
Not great. That's a natural 4 plus whatever you want.
Perception?
2?
Yeah, so 6. Yeah, you look around, you see a lot of
Trampled garden.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of nothing, really. The door to the farmstead is open. You see the dark interior within. Yeah.
What time of day is it?
Early morning.
Yeah.
It's like 5:30 a.m.
Really?
Well, let's just recall, Malikos died in the middle of the night. You buried him and then stayed up all morning
Quote
reading
unquote buried.
until dawn came. And basically, the moment dawn broke, there was a knock at the door. You went to town and then came directly here, which I'm going to say amounted to maybe an hour of travel.
I spoke to that boy for a little while as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say, though, honestly, Burke probably knocked on your door at like 4:30 a.m., like the minute dawn broke, and they left when it was still dark. And but we could say anywhere between 5:30 and 6:30.
Cool.
The world has yet awoken, including the town that you were walking through. It was all still quiet.
Well, Burke, I think it's time to go inside. Now I know that your species doesn't benefit from dark vision the way that mine does. Do you need to light a lantern?
It's a relatively small stead. I'm sure there'll be windows inside, since they are human. I'll be fine. And he pulls his long sword. Shing!
Let's go in.
Oh, he also has a crossbow, so you can choose what you want him to be holding currently.
You said it's a small dwelling, so we'll go with melee.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You head towards the open door to the Sirdar homestead. As you approach a small raised wooden platform, what would amount to a porch, if it could be called that, lifts you an inch off the ground. You duck slightly to allow your horns a bit of give. The straw roof allowing this melting frost to sort of drip through. The gray world around you seems to stop on the stone exterior of this small house as you peek inside.
Anything moving in there?
It's a monster, but does it matter? No, it's quiet inside. You peek in and you see the dirt floor, bits of hay strewn about, perhaps purposefully, to hide blemishes in the floor, catch bits of food. And as you lean around into the darkness, your eyes perceive all corners of this room. You see a small, sad station used to cut vegetables. These people spend the entirety of their day out in the fields, toiling. In fact, as you lean back and take another look to the left, you see the completely open storage area. There's a large tent, if it were, a single sheet of fine branches with hay laid on them and 4 sticks supporting it. It's huge, and it stores all of their combined produce when it's collected, ready to be sold, and it's empty, barren. Looks as though it has been for a while.
You said that's within the home?
No, that's sort of outside the home. I'm just painting the picture of sort of why these people have such a small homestead on such a large property.
In a way.
You see the kitchen, again, a small preparation area, a bench, a tiny table with 4 chairs, well worn, well used. The table itself sort of rough. And you see 2 doors leading off from this main kitchen room. One straight in front of you. You can kind of see the feet of a bed. And one to the immediate right, which seems to curve sharp that you cannot see in that room. Other than that, very small cracks of light seem to be emanating from, sounds like a fake word. Emanate.
You did good.
Seems to be in either of these rooms as well, from perhaps windows.
I would like to move stealthily through this room.
Yeah, give me a stealth roll.
You're welcome with a 3.
Remember, if you're watching this and you've been a participant in streams in the past, or if you are MVP in Dice Shame, our hit podcast, you can spend experience points for every time you've won MVP in the XP spending post below this in our Discord channel. And if you haven't joined the Discord channel, you can find so in the link of this YouTube video.
Join us. So I try to walk stealthily into the room, and my feet or my hooves are caught up on the cat as it tries to get in through the front door at the same time as I do.
Yeah.
I step on its
just like
foot.
And it like pops over. Yeah. You make quite a ruckus when you enter. I guess Burke doesn't really worry and enters as well, ducking for different reasons, not because of his horns, because of his height. And you're standing in the kitchen.
I would like to go and investigate the bedroom.
So, again, there are 2 rooms leading off this. You assume the one in front of you is the bedroom. You mean that one?
The one with the bed that you said was visible.
Perfect. You enter into that room to see a corpse lying on a bed. This bed is large enough for 2 people, and based on how well it has been worn over the years, you imagine this to be the parents' bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fuck. And you see the body of a man.
Is he sprouting mushrooms?
Do you want to get close to it?
I mean, it's a small home. I'm standing in the doorway such that I can see that it's a bedroom with a corpse in it.
He's got a
I can
sheet
see in the dark.
pulled up to his neck.
He
his
does.
Head looks
He's
like...
got X's for eyes and his tongue sticking out.
No, but you can tell he's dead.
Okay. Cool. I use Mage Hand. I slowly extend my own hand, and a spectral hand leaves my body and approaches the bedspread.
Wow.
And then as I command it, it pulls the cover back slowly to reveal the corpse.
Wonderful. Great use of Mage Hand.
Why, thank you. One of the most useful cantrips.
It's not, but it's really cool.
Super really is, though, useful. I don't want to touch that guy.
I don't think that's useful at all. I think it's useful in this very specific. I think it's definitely not one of the most useful cantrips.
Come now.
I'd say like fucking Eldritch Blast is one of the most useful cantrips. But I think...
I have both.
I know. And you're going to use one a lot more than the others. But anyway, I think it's great use of it, and I'm really glad you took it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you see immediately the flesh of this man, the vast majority, if not all, is petrified. It has a almost scale-like resemblance to it. From his neck down, large patches have stiffened his skin. A pained expression is twisted on his face. And how do you pull the blanket all the way off?
Yeah, I want to see all that.
Yeah, you see his dick, and he's nowhere near as big as me. And then when you get down to the bottom, you see a bite wound.
Where?
On his calf.
Would I say that it's kind of a similar height or location to his ex-wife? I guess they're not exes, but like his
his
recently
no longer current
deceased.
Yeah.
Would I presume that the creature who inflicted this bite wound is about the same size? Like, if Louis was going to bite somebody, he would be biting them in the calf at the same height for everybody.
I mean,
basically.
It's not exactly, but yeah. I mean, you can tell by the bite wounds and the way they look. They're pretty similar.
Gross.
Yes. Burke sort of leans in a little bit, squints his eyes in the dim light, and leans back out.
Can I roll perception or an investigation check on... I guess it'd be investigation check on these wounds. I want to get a couple of steps closer to see the nature of the teeth that would have inflicted these, whether they are like canine in nature or like the size of the jaws that would have created this bite.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a human-sized mouth or a mouse-sized mouth. You know what I mean?
Or a what-sized mouth?
Mouse.
Oops. Mouse-sized mouth.
That's right.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. I'm gonna.
God damn it.
What did you do?
Nothing. I'm doing everything on this screen, so like when I'm loading anything,
You're showing them it?
Yeah, things pop up.
I rolled
like
a dirty
second.
20.
Dirty 20?
Yeah, because I get to see his dick.
And what were you checking? It's too much dick talk.
The bite wounds.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Yeah, you see the bite wounds Sorry, the videos on my screen looks really weird. It's going like brr, brr.
Mine looks great.
Is anyone saying it?
I
It's an
don't know.
OBS.
I'm not catching up with the chat.
Oh, well, my phone's almost dead, so I plugged it in, but I'll check.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Everyone's excited about cults. Nope.
No, good. Yeah, you get a dirty 20 on the bite wounds. You see them for what they are. It looks to be very many teeth. The bizarre thing about this is, how can I express this without being too misleading? I'm going to use an example, but I don't want you to take anything from it because it will mislead you. But do you know how I'm not sure how I would describe this, frankly. But do you know how a Venus flytrap has teeth on the top and on the bottom, but also sort of on the sides a little bit? Because it's a sort of a rounded flat mouth.
Yes.
It's similar to that in a way that where a human would bite you top and bottom and maybe a bit back, there are teeth that come in a little bit from this. Yeah, so like this kind of. Like,
yeah.
But like a little bit down and a little bit over here. Again, don't think of a plant because it's just going to mislead you. But that's what fair. You see.
That's fair. So the orientation of the punctures are such that I would presume there's a wide mouth going on.
Yes. And interestingly enough, with the dirty 20, I will say the teeth are different sizes. Ooh. Some of them are small. Some of them are larger. Not, astronomically different, but they're very irregular.
Okay. I hate all of that. Thank you.
It puts a pit in your stomach.
It does and did.
Yeah. Actually, give me a perception roll, too. Because there's a really weird thing about this, which could be...
I want to know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you don't see the really cool, weird... You don't see the awesome, weird thing.
Can I steal anything in this room? Is there anything of value lying around?
What? You want to loot these people?
They're dead.
Yeah, I mean, you see some, like, carrots and potatoes, and there's some...
Nah, I don't care.
Pretty skimp food. And
they're poor.
Yeah, they're pretty poor.
Okay.
They're not poor. They're single purpose people, which is a new saying I've created for NPCs, for certain NPCs. Single purpose people.
Their purpose is to be dead.
No. I mean, like farmers, like literally in a time like this, I would imagine
they write poetry.
No, they don't write poetry, but they definitely love each other. But they wake up, they toil in the fields, and then they go to bed. That's literally their existence.
Burke, it would seem that, and then I tell him all about this mouth thing.
Yeah, and he looks a bit ashamed. He says, I suppose we could have ducked into the dwelling. We saw the woman out front and left.
You did what you thought was right.
Well, I'm here to make it right in not just my eyes, but Lathander's eyes as well.
Did you say there was another son?
Yes. The family was of 4, but... And he kind of gestures to the other room.
We go in.
Yeah. You see a small room with 2 little toddler beds. However, there is no second child in this room.
And no first child because he's in the church insane.
Bingo.
Okay. I like to hunt around the room and look for some clues. Look under the bed, look behind the door.
Yeah. Why don't you give me an investigation?
Okay.
Investigation. Looking up for things.
16?
Yeah, you do a pretty thorough search. I'm going to say with a 16, we're going to carry that over to like the home in general.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you get the impression that mainly human feet have been walking around here. It's difficult to describe. You don't find anything of substance in the farm. I'll just put it that way. Let's keep it easy.
Okay. Nothing that we found here is necessarily going to help me with the child back in town.
Yeah. I mean, you can sort of decipher more on the individual rooms if you want to look more at like the body, but so far as the boy, the purpose for your investigation, you don't find any information.
I'm really curious about the petrification of the husband. We haven't seen that on any of the other bodies.
Correct.
I guess the only other body is the wife. So, yeah, dang. I mean, I go back into the master bedroom, such as it is, and approach the body to within a couple of feet.
Yeah.
And take a bit of a closer look at this stony, patchy skin.
Yeah. Why don't you give me, I mean, you can use...
I have a special skill, and I'm not sure if this is the time to talk about it.
No, I know what you're talking about. I don't think that... No, and I'm going to say A, because it's not going to yield you what you're looking for, and B, I don't think that's the right time to introduce it just yet. You can talk about what it is, though, if you'd like. No, I mean, I'm not trying to keep it hidden from you. I just recognize where you're going. I think that's something that will make sense when you first roll it, and then
we'll talk about it then.
Okay. I will say this. You can look at this thing in an investigative sense, a medical sense, or a magical sense.
I want to do magic.
Okay.
That's like my whole thing.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, this is D&D, but it's also Call of Cthulhu D&D. If you want, you can roll all three separately because they're each going to give you different pieces of information to paint a full picture.
I'm going to roll Arcana.
Okay.
Which I know that's not how you pronounce it. It's how I pronounce it.
Arcana?
I think it's Arcana.
Who cares?
Not
I say
me.
Schedule and
I
eat a
say,
dyke. Well, that sounds worse.
Anus.
I meant dick, and I was trying to pronounce it funny.
17 for... I love you.
Perfect.
17 for Arcana.
You look at the petrified skin and you recognize that this ailment is magical. This disease that is spreading or has spread through his body before his demise was, in essence, a magic ailment.
Interesting. So it could have been dispelled.
Correct.
Okay. Do I recognize its nature?
What do you mean?
Like, can I identify, if not the like spell, at least the ailment by the fact that it's something magical?
Like
could I identify?
You don't recognize the name. Like the name is you don't recognize this ailment.
Would I know what school of magic it's from? The transmutation, I would probably presume.
I don't know. It doesn't say. Yeah, we can probably just call it that.
I mean, you could do a quick Google search, but if it doesn't say outright, then it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't say outright. I tried Googling. It's not. This is something specific to the source book we're using.
Cool. Which is Sandy Peterson's Call of Cthulhu
Mythos 5e. Yeah. I will tell you this because you got a 17, which is not nothing.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah. I will say that you recognize that any spell that could remove a disease, remove a curse, or remove the petrified condition would cure this disease. So it is a purely magical ailment. What?
Nothing. I like the dance. I let Burke know of this.
And he's kind of like about magic. He's a bit he fears what he doesn't understand. What?
He's a Luddite.
Yeah, he's totally a Luddite.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just need some air. And I go out to stand on the front porch, the inch-tall elevation of wood platform. And I look out over the fields. If I was a boy running from the death of my parents, this illness that spread through my mother's body, if I was running from something that I was worried about injuring me, where would I go? I look at the the tent where it's acting as like a little shed, essentially.
I should make it crystal clear what that looks like. It is a large, suspended, flat roof, for lack of a better word.
With nothing underneath it?
With nothing underneath it right now.
Is there anything else that would provide shelter in the near vicinity?
There is a copse of trees sort of to the left now as you're standing on the porch. You sort of look around, standing out. The farmstead sits there. There are farmlands behind it. It looks like it drops off to a cliff edge, fairly far behind. Beyond that, you can walk the circumference of the house if you'd like.
I would, and I'm going to roll survival to check for footprints.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Do you want Burke to do anything? You just following around.
Burke, would you mind helping me here?
Of course.
I would like to look for footprints. We need to locate this young boy.
Let's give Burke the help action. Oh, that doesn't matter. What do you got?
Never mind, Burke.
Fuck you, Burke.
Get out of my way. I rolled a 21.
Yeah. Okay. So you see... Wow. Yeah, you see a few sets of tracks. First, you recognize the woman's tracks. And see that sort of her final footsteps were not leading from the house. They were actually leading around the house. She came from around the house. Additionally, you see a set of small footsteps, small feet, the boys. They're all over the place. It's difficult to discern any, but they seem to be everywhere. Finally...
You're funny.
What?
With the 21, you're like, there's a lot of tracks, and you just can't discern them. They're just everywhere.
What with the boys? Well, I'm confirming that there were two boys here, because for all you know, it could be bullshit. Like no one knows that really. It's like the boy sort of said maybe something. It's been very questionable. The boy could have died. Anyway, yeah. I mean that's probably all you see.
So there was woman's footprints that led to the woman that did not come from within the house.
No, they were leading around the house.
And the boy's footprints that just kind of go everywhere.
Correct.
Great. I point to the woman's footprints. Burke, look here. You see, she did not come from within the house. Something pursued her around the side. Do I see any footprints that would not look humanoid in any way? Something small?
So this is the question. How do you look for a creature's tracks that look so unlike a creature that you would track? And additionally, it's important to follow the female's footsteps to find out what that might benefit you.
I mean, I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
But
that's what the 21 gives you is what I'm saying.
Ah.
But I will carry over that 21 and say, yeah, you also see a number of bizarre tracks that you can only assume are creature tracks because they follow the body to its resting place. But they appear as almost like single claws and a vast number of them.
If I were to imagine a shape in my mind,
it would be a spider with claws on the end of it. Like, you know what I mean? How do you piece that together?
I mean, what does the literal track look like? You know how a human footprint is like, well, it's kind of oblong, and in the center it's sort of like concaves on
this
itself.
Looks like someone walked around with a pointed stick and went
oh my god, that's so scary.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'm not trying to be mean. It doesn't even look like a spider. There's no pattern to it, right? It's like, how do you actually track that? But because you got so well and you were looking for specifically a quote unquote weird creature, you just see these like sharp piercings into the ground.
Like you would if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would maybe think that someone was walking with a walking stick.
Exactly.
Or something.
Except a bunch of them.
And they're like, it's too sharp.
Additionally, and kind of the coolest and creepiest part of this, there doesn't seem to be a pattern to them like a spider or a creature.
Even worse.
Where they walk with sort of the tracks almost mimic the bite that you saw, where they haphazardly shift and change.
It looks like they fell from the sky rather than they led from one place to another. Do you know what I mean? In like their random scattering?
Yes, purely because they're just so difficult to track and they walk without rhyme or reason, much like creatures of the mythos. They act without a singular purpose.
Okay. Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, that's welcome.
I'm gonna pull out my daggers. And
by the way, just because we've mentioned it now, we are using this.
Oh, it's such a good
Sandy
book.
Peterson's Cthulhu Mythos conversion for 5e. That is the basis for this campaign.
If you're loving this, and I am, please go and buy yourself a copy. It's an amazing resource. I've looked into it insofar as I need to understand the extra class options that it gives me for being a warlock. There's extra stuff for all of the D&D 5e. Harlan's been greedily looking through all of the bestiary, and I've looked at the extra spells that it gives you. It's so cool.
There are so many creatures in it. It's not even funny.
Speaking of which, I draw my daggers and I point with one of them down in the dirt. Burke, these marks here, believe me when I say they are made by something evil. Look. She came from around the back of the house. Keep your weapon at the ready and follow me.
Yeah, he doesn't even answer. He's not scared. He's just so
duty bound.
Well, no, he's just so he doesn't really know what to say. You can tell that magic to him is something that's so foreign, that the idea of a creature of It's funny, and not to go too off topic, but it's funny because when writing this campaign and talking about this campaign and all this kind of stuff, I get the impression, I always kind of get the impression that these Cthulhu creatures need to be world bound, meaning that, okay, if this exists, then everyone in the world could see this. However, for some reason, I missed this big blind spot in my history where the Cthulhu mythos sort of centers around the 1920s in a populated city. 99% of people don't experience any of these horrors whatsoever, and it's no different when you transform it in the world of D&D. While this guy, but it also carries over to every creature in D&D, whether they be mythos bound or not. This guy will never have seen a succubus. I think the worst Burke has ever experienced is a rabid bear. There's no monsters or dragons or demons. He might know they exist in the world because he's
probably heard of a neighboring village being raised by goblins or something.
But in that capacity, I think there's a large populace, at least in the story we're going to tell, that hasn't experienced these creatures. I don't think a lot of these people have even seen an orc. I think there's a world or a version of D&D that exists where the vast majority doesn't get to see the creatures of even D&D lore, let alone mythos. And I think Burke is one of them.
People talk about dialing up or dialing down the magic in your campaign, which means people are more or less likely to be able to find a sorcerer, much less a fucking, I don't know, evil mage.
And if it's not clear already, this is very dialed down in magic. The fact that they came to you because there was something unclear about this town, and frankly, just a lot of this campaign that you're going to see is dialed down magically.
Cool. I really like that.
Well, and that's not to say that magic isn't going to feature prominently. It's just that people you meet are not going to... Just to put in perspective... the kid who needed a cleric, there's no cleric. They had to send away for one. You know what I mean? There's not they're beep-lee-lee-lee, and it's done. It's we need to get help.
That makes it even crazier that I look the way I do.
That's why you're shunned. That's why Malikos was shunned.
So interesting.
Because the reality of this world, and it's the same I do with Cthulhu. You can play Call of Cthulhu in a really magical way where the creatures are always there, or you can play it in a really toned down way, and I always prefer the toned down. And this is going to be D&D, not toned down, but kind of brought into a sense of reality.
It's not high fantasy.
Well, it is, but it's through
more
a blurry
medieval
lens. Kind of, but the thing is, we're not cutting any spells or anything like that. Everything to you is still going to be available.
Yeah, because
just
I'm awesome.
The world. Anyway, so he draws his steel and nods to you and agrees to follow you around the house.
Okay, I cautiously follow this woman's footprints, kind of superstitiously placing my own hoof prints outside of where these sharp, I can't even call them footprints, tracks are.
Yeah.
Just because it feels gross. And the two of us and the cat all prowl around the outside of this farmhouse.
As you turn the corner, you see the broken, discarded remains of a cellar door that have splintered across the dirt ground outside the back of this farmhouse. A cellar door used to store probably most of what cannot be sold or what is meant to buy for the family or meant to survive for the family.
It may be in there.
Burke sort of curtly nods, swallows hard. I'll follow your lead again.
I'm not going in. That would be suicide. Perhaps we can draw it out somehow.
Perhaps.
I imagine we are seeing this cellar, this broken entrance from the side, such that we can't actually peer within.
Exactly.
But we see its ruin.
Yeah.
And so I make a wide circle. And the cliff faces to our backs now if we look upon the house.
The cliff faces to your backs now. Yep.
So it goes cliff, us, cellar, house, road, forest.
Correct. However, there's a long pathway to the road from the front of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, there's a copse of trees.
Fields all around.
Bingo.
Okay. Here's my plan, Burke. I'm going to send a beam of energy in through the open cellar door, hoping to incite whatever might be inside. Then when it comes out and reveals itself to us, if it is a foe, we will set ourselves on it. Are you ready?
He sighs heavily and sheathes his long sword and draws his heavy crossbow. All right.
Prepare yourself.
And he takes a knee and sort of aims it at the open door.
Readying an action, as it were.
Yeah, if you'd like him to.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
if
he'll
he
ready an
sees
action.
a spooky, creepy creature, to just plug it with arrows.
Any creature or spooky creature? Creepy creature.
Spooky, creepy, looking like it might have spider legs.
So this is interesting because we kind of talked about it last time, and it's going to be a rule.
Like those creatures with the tentacle mouths. You were like, any creature?
I think it's a really important distinction, I would do it for any D&D because the idea is, are you firing the minute something pops up, or are you taking the time to decipher whether this is an enemy or a friend? Because there's a big difference in that, and even people who fire weapons and police officers will tell you there's a difference between determining a threat and determining, or just firing at something.
So true. And even being like, oh yeah, any orc that shows up, I'm going to kill. It's like, okay, well, any orc?
Exactly. So
why would you do that?
So I just want you to verify anything that pops up or a threat, meaning if it's the creature.
If it's something that looks like it probably murdered these people.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
And this goes back to sort of the answer to our question, because you said when he first knocked on your door that if he looked threatening, you would fire at him or something. And I asked the question, but what if he readied the action to fire at anything in the door? And I think this answers it. If someone readies an action to fire at anything, they're going to go first. If the person is going to respond...
Sure, the more general outweighs the more specific.
Exactly.
That's
because
fair.
It also has the biggest risk, meaning you could kill a kid.
I want to be...
I want to be... Have you ever...
What's the range on his crossbow?
100, 400.
Great. I want to be 100 feet away.
100 feet away? The cliff doesn't even go that far.
How far away is the cliff?
It's like 60 feet.
You said quite a distance.
Yeah, but, within reason.
Great. We'll be 50 feet away.
Okay.
So 10 feet away from us is the cliff face.
Yeah.
Are we hearing ocean? What's behind us?
Yeah, you look down and you see a very thick, dense forest.
Ah, very beautiful place to make a homestead.
Gorgeous.
Tragic. I might think of resettling.
Wait till you see what's in the basement.
Okay, we get ready. The cat. What's the cat doing?
It's just like walking around waiting for you to tell it what to do.
Weird cat. I give the cat the nod.
And it kind of turns its head and nods as well, rolls its eyes.
I roll my eyes back.
Do you want to do anything?
I don't want to like talk to this cat in front of Burke. I feel like that's weird. I kind of don't want to tip my hand about that yet. I don't know why, but it just feels strange. And I don't know why I'm protecting this cat, because the cat's a fucking murderer.
Cat did what you wanted it to do.
That's what you said.
You could always send Burke away for a second and talk to the cat. Additionally, you can use the cat to your advantage within reason. I just want you to be presented with all the options.
Can I talk telepathically to the cat?
You can try.
Because I would have had to do that to give it dream orders.
So you think.
I think really hard and I say, "Hey, cat."
You can't tell whether it's ignoring you or it can't hear you.
Fucking bitch.
I mean, it's a cat, right? Like, that's kind of how cats would be.
Even Louis sometimes is like, "What? I don't hear you."
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Louis does this a lot. like he's pissed off.
Okay. I do it. I fire my beam, my eldritch blast.
Okay, so describe what you're doing again and describe how it happens.
What are you doing?
I just wanted to make sure the video wasn't lagging. I had some blips.
I look at Burke, who is kneeling to my left with his crossbow at the ready. And I say, "Be prepared for anything, Burke. Whatever comes through that door.
If it's a threat.
If it looks like it is aggressive, like it's going to try to kill us, if it looks like something that would bite you and cause you to erupt in spores, if it looks like it has legs made of jagged spikes, I want you to do your utmost to kill it.
Okay.
And if it takes me, you must still kill it."
Of course.
I look at the cat and I say, "Cat, do your best."
Are you saying this, like...
Out loud.
So the cat will understand you?
I say it out loud. I say, "Cat, you do your best."
Interesting.
I don't know what the fuck. He gored a tiefling to death with his horns.
Roll performance.
Okay. 12.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Burke sort of turns his head to you and says, "What did you just say?"
I told the cat to do its best.
You speak cat?
Excuse me?
You were hissing and making a bunch of noises. The cat goes, "You do realize that you're speaking in my language, right?"
And I turn back to Burke and I say, "Do you only speak common?"
I've never met a person that could speak cat.
And to him in Abyssal I say, "Well, you've never met a tiefling before."
And he's just like, the color drains from his face and his, because he doesn't understand what you said, and his like crossbow wavers a little bit. Just like, yeah, he's pretty scared now, actually. He might abandon you.
He won't.
Well, I don't know, but he's just like, I think he's scared. Wow, roll an intimidation, I guess.
No, I'm not trying to intimidate him. And,
What were you trying to...
after I say that...
Well, you basically just went...
And then I say, "Burke, there's a lot that you don't know about the world. There's a lot that I don't know either. But accept that not all is bad."
So you're trying to make him feel comforted?
I'm persuading.
Okay, then let's do that. Because I feel like you did everything that
I did a great job.
Yeah, no. He's
7.
pretty uncomfortable.
Whatever. I fire my Eldritch Blast into the fucking into this like cellar.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Pshoo.
Okay, yeah. Roll to hit, I guess.
Okay. With disadvantage because I can't see the target.
Yeah, and there's like a boy hiding in there that you're gonna blow up.
Good. So 9 plus. Do I have to make a ranged spell attack? Yes. That's 5. 14.
Yeah, I mean, it sings into the darkness of the cellar. You hear a loud explosion.
Nothing comes out?
No.
I wait for a full minute.
Perfect. 60 rounds of combat go by.
10 rounds.
10 rounds. 10 rounds of combat go by.
All right.
The cat's like, what were you trying to do exactly?
I said it. I told you the plan clear as day. You had plenty of time to voice your disagreement.
I didn't say I disagree. I'm just asking what you're trying to do.
Perhaps you weren't listening. Trying to flush out anything that may be within it. You don't intend to go into a dark cellar.
And what is the boys in there?
Well,
You don't think that killing a boy is worse than me killing Malicos?
let's go and find out.
And like, Burke is just like, remember when we thought maybe he could follow you throughout this campaign? Not anymore. You gonna go in and find out?
Yeah, we go and look.
Perfect. Yeah, you approach the cellar and walk in past the damage. Sort of, what exact damage is Eldritch Blast?
It is a beam of crackling energy.
So
it deals force damage.
So force damage. Okay. So yeah, you come into the cellar and you see the damage left by your Eldritch Blast. Pieces of stone broken from the walls of the cellar. Are you just walking in? Are you looking in?
Looking in.
Yeah. So looking in, you see a fairly simple stone cellar. You see a number of items sort of blown off the shelves, canned goods, or I should say mason jars filled with peaches smashed. The smell of like old fruits permeate permeate your nose. You see that it goes down relatively deep, and it looks like on the edges there are maybe areas where larger things were stored. The actual entrance is fairly large, big enough to bring some hay bales in and things like that during the colder winter months. But in this large sort of rectangular stone room, the force damage has just sort of erupted things from the wall and broken some stone.
I mean, it's 1d10 force damage.
Yeah.
Do you want me to roll it?
No. Why? What do you mean?
You're talking about stuff like being super damaged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine like a china shop and then throwing a baseball in it, or a basketball, I suppose. It's not so much that you did so much damage that everything that was like precariously on the shelves just got like brushed off.
But didn't you say that the entrance of the cellar was like shattered open?
No, I said oh, that was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What? What are you saying?
I presumed that it was damaged because you said that the door to the cellar had been like
Well, I didn't say
destroyed.
you did I'm not saying everything fell just because of what you did.
Right.
I'm saying everything is smashed on the wall.
So
and there's some
we
stuff.
have a cellar full of smashed stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, it would appear that this is an empty cellar.
Are you going in it? You're just looking at the entryway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, it looks like it's, again, big enough to hold hay bales. It's not, you can't see it all from the entrance.
How big would I presume it would be?
Oh, the area you see is maybe probably the length of the house above you. It's almost like the exact replica. but it looks like it carves around the side behind you, almost beneath you.
So this is like pretty substantial.
Correct.
Hello? Is there anyone in there?
You don't hear anything.
Kat, why don't you go and investigate?
All right. Will this get me back into your good books?
Maybe.
Fair enough. And the cat hops down and sort of slinks around in the dark a little bit. Burke is like, I'm not too sure what you expect of me.
I'm doing what I can to keep us alive and to find out what happened here.
There's a fire within you. I can hear it in your voice. You seem frustrated and impatient.
I intend to find out whatever creature is responsible for this and put an end to its wickedness.
Fair enough. The cat pops back up and says, it's a rather large cellar. Very different than above. I suppose they needed a big space for cold to keep some of the vegetables and bales. Anyway, it seems to carve around a little bit, and there's something you'd want to see.
What is it?
It's a hole.
What kind of a hole?
It looks like it was dug by a creature, and it goes down.
Any little boys inside?
No, but you might want to take a look. I think I see some footprints.
Show it to me. I follow the cat into the cellar.
Yeah, and you see that on either side of the cellar door, it continues back. So the 30 feet area in front of you, that's
the worst part of the cellar.
Shattered and broken, also turns around and you see within the dark underbelly of it.
Yeah, it's like gloomier and the ceiling is like
soggier and earthen.
So I pick my way around the slimy peaches and broken glass and make my way into this damp, dark crevasse.
You see that there's a large, human-sized hole dug into the wall, broken through a shelf.
Human-sized?
Yeah. I mean, large enough for a human.
He said footprints?
You see in the sort of like preservative mud, you know, it's like mixed between jam and mud.
Gross.
You see a number of those large claw-like tracks. And give me a survivor. Oh, fuck it. Boy tracks.
Both?
Yeah.
Hands and feet, or just feet? Or
for the
what?
boy, feet. It's tall. It's large enough for the boy to sort of fall down this. It's sort of not a steep angle, but it definitely goes down.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
And these tracks also?
Yes.
I hate it. Well, I mean to make an end of this thing, so we may as well go in.
Burke sort of stands at the entrance. I can't see very well down there.
Do you have any means of light with you?
I have a torch.
Well, then I suppose you should use it.
And he lights a torch. It fills the basement as like drips of liquid fall from the ceiling, the dampness. You see him standing on the glass, which is now twice broken, once from the creature, once from your eldritch blast, and the bits of stone that you've carved from the walls.
Can we see anything down the tunnel?
It seems to curve, so it sort of heads down a little bit and then curves sharply almost under it. Which is kind of the most exciting thing about this. So many tunnels are like, wee, but this is like, it's almost like a slide.
Ew.
In a really disgusting way. Yeah. Very haphazardly done.
Does this feel like new digging?
Does it feel like...
You know how when you expose, like, I'm imagining, like, digging in the sand and it gets, like, a crust on it. This, like, old digging. But new digging, the earth is still moist to touch.
Give me a survival roll.
You know?
Yeah.
Is it an... Oh, wait. Sorry. I rolled with advantage by accident. That's only a 10.
You can't quite tell. I mean, it definitely has properties that are fresher. It definitely seems like the damage to the basement is recent. You know, it's not dried peaches and shit. All of this sort of would attest to what you've felt so far. This family was set upon relatively quickly.
Okay. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Then Burke.
Okay.
Then the cat.
Sounds good.
I make my way into the tunnel, lower myself down this U-bend, and peer into the darkness that leads underneath the cellar.
Yeah.
Do I see anything?
I'm
imagining myself like holding on to the top of this tunnel, like looking deep into the dark. There's worms wriggling on the ceiling.
Oh
of
god,
this, like,
the
dark
earth underneath your fingertips. It's damp, but also coated in almost like a viscous mucus. Something sinister is mixed with the soil, as if the creature that dug this salivated, waiting to feast on its prey.
Do I hear anything?
Give me a perception roll.
Not bad. 17?
No.
And I have 60 feet of dark vision, so the tunnel just goes 60 feet.
Yeah, you can see that under this U, it continues forward only a bit before turning sharply down once again. Again, the tunnel juts out where natural rocks were sort of moved around, and it's carved in such an inhuman way. No dwarf made this.
Are there still footprints? Like little boy footprints?
Combined with slides.
Gross.
Yeah. It seems, I mean, you can do investigate on that or perception on that if you want more information.
Sorry.
What?
Colin made a fucking meme of this, which is like the Despicable Me format with that old professor dude.
Ready in action. Eldritch blast the cellar. It's empty. It's empty. Colin, so good.
That's very, very good, Colin.
So good.
I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
All
keep
right.
that meme format.
Onward and upward. I mean,
or downward and deathly.
Downward and grossward. I continue on.
Yeah. This time,
Burke,
the second.
stay close behind me.
And he nods in the darkness. You see the flecks of light behind him from the torch. And this time, it's relatively sharp down. You kind of slide over, and it looks like it's going to slide a little bit. And you take it down. You can see the small handprints in the walls from where the boy tried to steady himself. And you continue down for 10, 15, 20 feet almost on an incline. And it eventually sort of gives a little bit. And then your feet land upon stone. Old stone.
Worked stone?
Yes.
Like flagstone.
Correct.
Old. These paving stones seem to line the floor of this tunnel entirely, or
only
just
briefly before dropping out entirely. The tunnel drops down into broken stone into a room below you.
I look down into the room through the hole in the ceiling,
and you see what remains of an ancient cellar, not archaic but dwarven, perhaps ruins of some sort.
Fascinating.
What?
There's a room down here. I'm on my hands and knees, peering down into the darkness of this chamber. Looks well crafted, maybe dwarven in nature. And then all of a sudden I have this wild flashback, the first one I've had since I woke up. It's just a sound. It's a sound of footsteps in a hall. I know that I've been in a hall of worked stone before. I don't know whether it's a castle or a cathedral or fortress or a tomb, but I know the sound of my hooves echoing in a cavernous room full of worked stone. And I know somehow it's dwarven. It just makes sense in a way that I've never
Yeah, and your memory is sort of recalled back with Burke cutting in and saying, yes, much of this area still has ruins undiscovered. The dwarves occupied the Desiren Valley for thousands of years, building strongholds and outposts and abbeys. I wouldn't be surprised if one lay in the remains of what was this cliff before it shifted and changed.
Yes. That makes sense. I'm sorry.
Why? He can't see your face or anything. He's like kind of crammed behind you. Why?
Nothing. Let's go. And I hold on to this ledge with my upper body and lower myself down into the room.
Yeah, the stones shift slightly, but not by much.
Do I have to drop far?
No, it's like a hill almost of debris. There's broken barrels and various wooden pieces, stone pushed over. It's the decaying remains of the cellar are evident as well.
I clamber down and then make way for Burke to let himself in.
He does, and as the light fills the small cellar, you see the remains of, ancient grains just stored in the corner, rats feasted on them, shit lies on the floor and broken wagon wheels and all this kind of stuff. Let's pull up the picture I'm looking at, maybe.
Strange.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Are you giving them spoilers that I'm not getting?
No, it's frustrating. Every time I open a picture, it opens on the other screen. It goes right over my face. Yeah, you're surrounded by barrels and stone walls, sconces that are no longer lit and haven't been lit in forever. And you're in a what looks to be a cellar.
A legit cellar,
A proper stored cellar.
Actual cellar.
Large enough to feed a vast number of people, not just a store.
Is there anything of interest in this room? You mentioned some barrels. I'm not sure if I would be interested in looking at them to try to see if they would give me any kind of context how old this room is, for instance.
Yeah, why don't you give me a perception roll?
Not bad. 17.
Yeah, you see in the corner underneath a pile of sort of like rags almost, but they look to be discarded vestments. You see a small ornate box, and inside you see a set of earrings inscribed with the sigil of Lathander, worth 100 gold pieces.
I love earrings. I'm taking them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just writing down this loot.
Yeah, you're lucky. That's a tough one to see. 16 or higher.
It's my first loot.
I know.
You said that in a disappointed way.
It's okay. You didn't get the really good. I'm just kidding.
I wait until Burke turns his back and I slip it into my bag.
Oh, interesting. Dude, give me a sleight of hand.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a 17.
Yeah, he's none the wiser. You slip it right into your bag.
I turn around and the cat is lantern eyes just piercing.
Yeah,
me.
let's see if the cat notices, actually. No, the cat doesn't either.
Good.
The cat's just
The cat was looking at a moth.
Yeah. It seems like the only exit to this cellar is up a set of stone steps where there looks to be a number.
So cool. I love this.
Why?
Fucking Mines of Moria shit.
Yeah, it looks to be stone steps. However, the sort of cellar door entrance looks to be shut.
So
It's sort of like a... Does that make sense?
no.
Like you walk up a set of stairs to a roof and then you open the roof. It's like a cellar door.
Like
not
a trap door on the ceiling.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And it is shut.
And I would presume that the stone in this room would hinder any efforts to try to track the creatures further.
Correct. I mean, nothing's impossible, but it's very, very difficult.
I mean, there's only one exit from this room, so onward and upward. I go up the flagstone, and I would like to investigate the trapdoor.
Give me a roll.
See if it is trapped or nope.
I'll say this, though. Upon close inspection, because you actually took a second to look at it, you recognize this is not a trapdoor at all, but a set of planks sort of laid upon this opening. The trapdoor is long since rotted or fallen away. The planks look newer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This place may be inhabited, Burke. I would like to stealthily move aside one of the planks.
Give me a stealth roll, or whatever of hand.
What?
Or you can use sleight of hand. I think stealth makes more sense, though.
11.
11?
Yeah, that's not bad. That's better than half.
It's not bad. Oh. Okay. Yeah, you think you move it pretty stealthy.
Is there light up there?
No. Yes.
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 What kind of light?
Daylight.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Very, very, very faint daylight.
And I look up through the hole that I've just created.
Yeah.
Is it more cavern, more stone,
you
more
see
what?
The tall ceiling. Sorry, in this area, no. You see sort of a shorter ceiling above, and what you can perceive to be more ornate stonework and faint, very faint daylight permeating. But because you have dark vision, I feel like you would be able to tell that there is faint daylight. It's still like lower than dim.
I climbed through.
You climb through? Okay.
Oh, I died.
No. But you get, what's your AC?
What?
What's your AC?
12.
16 to hit?
You're going to kill me right here.
No. Your AC is 12, 16 to hit hits?
Yes. 16 is higher than 12.
I know. You do feel an arrow pierce into your shoulder, and you take 2 points of damage.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
For me,
You know
the arrow sinks into your shoulder and you yelp as you see, now that you're sort of above, a man lying on a makeshift bed, maybe 10 feet from you. He has a crossbow trained on the opening and fires. Roll for initiative. Do you want to roll for what's his name, or do you want me to roll for what's his name?
You can roll for what's his name.
Okay. By the way, just hit the perception on that trapdoor. He rolled a natural 20.
Yeah, I could tell. You're not very discreet when you roll natural
18
20s.
For what's his name?
You're keeping track of initiative, not me.
Yeah, of course. That's how this game works. But you haven't
I
told me
rolled
your
a
number
7.
Yet. You rolled a 7?
Yeah.
Oops, that's the wrong book. Don't want to mess up my dice shame notes.
No. My lipstick is coming off. Guys, what do I do?
Sorry, what was your name?
What?
Or what was your number?
7.
7?
Yep.
Perfect. Bandit rolled 7 too. Oh, sorry. I mean, the thing rolled 7 too. All right, Burke goes first. Or you can let him defer. I'm happy to have you control him if you'd like to sort of decide what he wants to do. Put it this way. I'm going to let you go before the other person. If you want to do that, if you want to put him before you, I'm okay with that. Or after you, I should say.
So you're saying that I can choose to have Burke go after me?
If you'd like. I'm going to let you sort of decide what he does. I'll just do the rolling for damage.
I would.
Meaning if you just want him to attack or if you want him to whatever. But because you're controlling both, if you want to drop him in initiative so that you have first action.
I'm going to Eldritch Blast this motherfucker.
Okay.
Out of existence.
Yeah.
That is a 17 to hit.
Hits.
I deal 5 force damage.
Yeah, it just blasts him. He's already lying against the wall, and as the blast comes towards him, the fear that was on his face as he fired at you before you fired, it just becomes all too much as he gets thrust against the stone wall. His head smashes against it.
Do I see anyone else in the room?
No.
I drop down to the hole.
Okay.
And I say, Burke, there's a bandit up there. He shot me.
Yeah, and Burke, do you want just Burke to attack?
Yeah, I want Burke to pop up out of the hole.
Yeah, he
fire
does.
An arrow at this fool and
Perfect.
come back down into the room.
Okay, he does so. Ooh, with a 7. He stands up, fires his heavy crossbow, and unfortunately it just misses him. Mm-hmm. But he spends a moment before popping back down, which he does, and he says, "The man looks very afraid, startled even."
Yes, I'm afraid and startled.
That's all he says. Do you want me to move it or anything else?
I'd like to take a free action.
Wouldn't
to
we all?
Speak.
Sure.
And I say, "Hold your fire. We mean you no harm."
Yeah, give me a persuasion. You've both dealt some blows. I'm going to give you advantage, actually.
What do you want me to give him? A persuasion?
Nice. Yeah.
22?
Yeah. You hear a voice. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fire. And you like hear the clattering of a crossbow like being set down on the stone. You don't hear any moving though. That's his turn.
I'm going to go back up through the hole and observe him.
Yeah, your eyes sort of peek over. You see this man sort of frantically touching the back of his head and bringing his hand back as the wet blood sort of coats his palm from the force damage that was dealt to him.
He seems like kind of a goon.
He seems afraid. He's terrified.
Careless.
I'm sorry. I thought you were one of...
I know. I have to watch where you're shooting that thing, or I'll do worse to you.
Those horns, I thought it was that thing coming back.
Vile. Who are you?
My name is Mongrel.
And? Why are you in this hole?
Why am I in this hole? This is where we've been for the past week.
Who's we?
Me and the boys.
The boys?
Swede and... Oh. And he sort of like shakes his head.
What's happened to you?
Terrible things, miss. Terrible things.
You're waiting for the creature to come back.
Yes. Have you seen it?
No, but I'm hunting it.
You don't want to hunt that, ma'am. It's the killer, I tell you.
Oh, I know.
The boy. He came up through there.
Is he all right?
Swede's got him. He's hurt. You think you can help him?
Yes.
And he like shambles up.
Burke, come up now.
Burke climbs up and still like holds his crossbow trained on the guy.
It's all right. He's safe for now.
You see the man standing before you. He's got long, greasy hair and a leather cap buttoned it down. His teeth are half out of his head.
What's his name again?
Mongrel, you said, which is a fitting name. He wears strips of clothing that are tattered and falling off him. His feet are bare, and he's lying in a dirty pile of rags as a bedspread. He clearly was sitting here aimed at this entrance as if expecting something to come through. He sort of hobbles over to you.
Great question from Zia. Thank you, Zia. Does Burke, who is a constable, recognize this man?
Great question. Natural one.
He's very tired. He's really tired, guys.
I mean, are you asking? What are you asking specifically?
No, I'm not asking him.
Are you just seeing if he recognizes him? No. I mean, this is tough because this is like also playing a character that's, whatever. If you ask him a question, he might know something, but he doesn't recognize this guy. I'll tell you that.
Burke, have you ever heard of Swede or Mongrel?
No, but I did hear reports of bandits camping outside of town. And Mongrel sort of like almost abashedly, no, more like a scorned dog. He sort of his head is down and was like, yeah, we've been camping here for a week in these ruins. And then that thing.
What thing? Did you see it? Tell me everything.
And he like shudders. I only saw glimpses of it. The boys saw more. Come. And he kind of follows you or leads you down this hallway around this sort of alcove, which you can kind of see it looks like maybe a kitchen area. There's sort of a fireplace that he was hiding in. They're sort of backed in. All the counters and surfaces have sort of deteriorated and crumbled with time, but the basic layout of the kitchen is still clear as he leads you through a crumbling archway to these huge stained glass windows that the very dim gray light sort of reveals. You can look and peer outside of one and you see that they are set slightly aback from a natural sort of earthen wall within the I want to say like the caves that allow slits of light in through the cliffs. It'd be easier to understand from the outside, but from what you can tell right now, you see...
That makes sense, because I felt like we were too far down to see daylight, but really like part of this cave system is abutted up against the edge of this cliff face. Exactly.
In fact, this looks to be a building that was consumed by the cliff face over time.
Cool.
Like
erosion and weather.
Imagine an abbey on a cliff that through erosion and weather sank sort of into the cliff, and dirt and time almost hit it within there.
Parts of it fell into the gorge and parts of it were consumed by the land above it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, and you move through this crumbling ruin. You can see the earthen wall of the cliff almost halfway through this large area. He leads you down a tight set of stone steps past the
I imagine
pews.
we can just tell that it's started to rain this morning. There's like dripping now coming down through the roof, and you can
exactly.
see
And on the stained glass you see the like mud wash with the rain, so it comes down in like black drips. Gross. Which cast shadows in like stark colors. The light from outside casts that red black drip on the wall. It's like really weird,
very disorienting.
Oh god, yeah. Like Mongrel stops at the stairwell and turns around, and you see the black drips shadowed on his face, his like one side covered in this green shadow from the light, and he's like, follow me, and he like heads down this tight passageway. You reach the bottom and you see you're sort of in this alcove where it opens to a large area sort of courtyard, if that once were. Spurts of like mushrooms and things are kind of grown here just naturally over time. Decaying, rotting trees have festered and creatures have all but devoured them. And past that, you see a makeshift bed, a pile of rotting furs where a boy lies, and standing next to him an older man, balding, with sort of a ring of hair around like a monk. His face is gaunt and deep cracks within it. His face is so weathered. He turns to you. "Oh, what the fuck is this?" Mongrel's like, "They came through the cellar I was guarding." "Are you guarding it still?" "Of course not." "Well, what are you doing here?"
Looking for the boy.
He sort of looks over his shoulder, and you see the boy's got like pads on him. You can tell that these bandits have tried to help the boy, but have no, they've all got ones on their medicine checks. They're just like doing the best they can without really doing anything.
Sure. This is Constable Burke.
Yeah. And he sort of looks between the two of them and says, "Bandits are not welcome in our town. However, you took this boy in?" The mongrel sort of nods. "Yes, he broke through that cellar there yesterday. He was bitten. A creature followed him here. We don't know where he is right now, but it's killed 2 of our men." And mongrel sort of looks over his shoulder past. "It's hiding somewhere." "Quiet. No, it's gone back through that tunnel. This boy came from a farm. We believe the creature's hiding out in that farm."
No.
"What?"
We've just come from there.
"But that means it's somewhere in here." Mongrel like spins around. The light of the torch that Burke still carries is like casting deep shadows on his face. He like stares at him.
You'll do nothing more than shoot your own people. The way you shot me.
"I was told to." "He was told to shoot anything that comes through that."
Well, that's a poorly worded ready to action.
"Well, with horns like that, I don't blame him."
Enough.
"Creatures like you," and like Burke's like, "She said enough." "Can you do anything for this boy?"
Maybe, maybe not. Trying to decide whether we should help you.
"You're not helping me." And you look at the boy. He's maybe, God, I keep picturing Henry, but obviously it's too young. But God, it would just break my heart. Imagine like a little 3-year-old boy trying to do all this and being like, oh, like just like stumbling through, trying to figure out where to go. No, he's like however old the other brother was. I think I said the other one was like 10.
8.
Yeah, we'll say this one's like 6 or 7. And he's just like breathing heavily. His eyes are closed. Burke leans in and says, "We're not helping the bandits, we're helping the boy. Can you do anything for him?"
No. I don't think so.
You haven't even looked at him.
I'll try. I go over to the boy's bedside where he's labored breathing. I'll do a medicine check to see if there's anything I can do for him that isn't magical in nature. I don't have any healing at all. That is a 17.
Yeah, he has got grotesque skin pustules forming all over him. 17, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you recognize this. Would medicine be a... Let me think for a second. If it says this... Yeah, I'm going to say, like, medicine would also reveal things like that. So I'm going to say you recognize this as sewer plague.
And do I know anything about sewer plague?
Why don't you roll a intelligence or something?
I mean, if I recognize it as sewer plague.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is sort of out of my wheelhouse of, like, typically if you success at a medicine, and someone's afflicted with a disease, this is not a magical disease, so I think a medicine would be apt. The question is, do you have enough knowledge to understand not only the disease, but how the disease is cured?
I mean, that's part of the... I don't know. I would just call it, as the DM...
DM's discretion?
Yeah, the medicine check, being able to identify as much about the disease as you want, basically. I would say that...
I'm going to say this. There are multiple ways to heal this. However, you know of one. I think that's fair. And I'll give you one of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So you recognize that this is a disease that gains a level of exhaustion, mechanically speaking, to the creature, to the character. However, after a long rest, the person will make a Constitution saving throw. So you have the impression that with a stable environment, that this boy will overcome this disease, so long as he stays safe and above hit points. He will recover over time is kind of what you take it as.
Fortunately, Burke, I think this child will survive.
Is this to the bandits as well, or just like quietly to Burke?
Quietly to Burke.
Okay.
I think this child will survive. We have to take him back to the village. He has to sustain some significant care. We should bring him to the abbey, or to some other family that is willing to take care of him until such a time that he recovers, but he can't stay down here. It's too dangerous.
Well, we can't move him until that thing is dead.
Well, then we have a job to do.
We know it wasn't on the farm, and there's no way it came behind us, which means it's in this building.
Let's track it down.
All right. And he turns to the two. You two. Is this room safe? Yes, it can be locked. Then we'll leave the boy in here, and the four of us will kill this creature. Mongrel shakes his head. It can't be done. It's not human. It's not of this world.
Neither am I.
Well, then you should do it alone.
I need bait.
Oh, I'm not going to be bait. And he starts walking, backing up towards the wall. And
your captain would have you guarding a tunnel.
He's not my
by
captain.
Yourself, no less. Would you not prefer to be wandering around with someone who can protect you, at the very least?
It's madness. He puts his hand on his short sword. Give me a persuasion roll. It's a good persuasion.
That'll do it, probably.
Yeah.
That's 20.
Yeah. So you persuade these guys to join you and help fight. What do you say? How do you do it? We know how you do it, but what do you say?
You can spend the rest of the day guarding an empty hole in the dark by yourself, waiting for something to come upon you from behind, waiting for something to make a meal of you. Or you can come with us and be of some substantive use.
Very well. We'll do it. And he picks up his crossbow and short sword as well. And the two men follow your lead to capture the creature.
Should we leave it there?
If you want. You want to fight this thing? Let's just say this.
I think it's going to take a little bit.
It will, but let's do it this way. You exit the small passageway, locking the door behind you, leaving the boy safe, and exit once again to the large... What do you call the room with the pews and the, with the stained glass? What's that called? The church, the main church room.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
It's that.
If I was a Catholic, I would know.
I can't think of the name, but that's the room, and I can't think of how to describe it. Cathedral room? Whatever.
There's a word.
There's definitely a name for it. So you enter into the large
The big room.
cathedral room where the stained glass walls cast muddy shadows, and from the corner of your eye you see a spindly figure walk across. It stands large enough, almost human-sized. Before you, in the darkness, you see an eyeless, human-sized creature with an egg-like body supported by 9 spidery legs ending in crimson claws. It has 2 long, pointed ears that adjust rapidly at every little noise, and as it hears you approach, it turns towards you. And we'll end it there. Little description for you. Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I know. Did you have plans to like hunt it? I don't know, like find it or something.
Yeah, but whatever.
Well,
we don't have to.
I'm thinking maybe it'll run off and then you can do what you want to do.
No, I mean, I don't think like hunting it through a bunch of like. It's different to play this on a tabletop.
Yeah.
Where you're actually moving your pawn through a bunch of
For
like
sure. And it wants to
twisting
kill you
corridors.
anyway, so, yeah.
But theater of the mind, that's so much less engaging. You know, because it's just like, okay, then there's some more hallway.
Oh,
you
I
know?
totally agree. I wanted to do that, but
Yeah, that's egg body.
yeah.
9 legs is the wrong number.
Pretty horrific.
of
You ready to see
legs.
you ready to see a picture of it?
Please give me.
I mean, I'll share it with the stream as well, but for now I'll just hold up the picture. I don't want you to see what it's called. Not that it really matters, but
Oh. Kill it with fire.
how does that look? Kind of gives a little away.
That's a perfect enemy for first level character. I have 7 hit points, by the way,
Yeah,
just
you've
so you
been
know.
hurt. There's 4 of you. That's basically a party.
That's 2 people who can die.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the bandits will have an option to like run if things get bad, but this is going to be easy. You're going to be fine.
I hope so. I'm going to bring out the big guns.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for running.
This was Shadow of the Warlock Chapter 3. We'll be back, of course, next week with Chapter 4. We're going to continue on for a little while down this road.
Yeah, I have the next 3 weeks.
The Sanctuary,
days,
that's the word.
Sanctuary?
Apparently. I believe it. I mean, I don't know. So.
I don't think so.
You don't know what it's called? Actually, it doesn't matter what it's called. It's called...
I'm gonna Google.
No, you know what? It doesn't matter what it's called. Because I think one of the best things about Lovecraftian horror is not having a name for it. In fact, maybe we should make this new game where in this campaign, every new and bizarre creature...
It's called the Nave.
What is?
The nave is the central part of a church.
Oh. Well, either way, what I was saying was what we should do with this campaign, because all of these creatures are new to you, I think we should make this new rule about you naming them. Like, maybe it's called the Nave because that's where you found it.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, the idea of these creatures, like, whatever those other creatures were called, you never found out the name of those either. So you need to create this bestiary.
They're called tentacle hobbits.
Sure. Well, that's too goofy. I like the Nave. Maybe like the Hollow, you know what I mean? Because they're like in this little like... Anyway, I think you as a character should start bestiaryingly naming these. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. MVP, I think we got to give it to that fucking hilarious meme.
God, yes. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, Colin Burkhart. Was it? Yeah. Let's give it to Colin. However, I also want to do an extra MVP. I need to give MVP to Abe Hughes because he has been doing artwork for every chapter so far.
Oh yeah,
It is so good, and
the last
I
one
want
with the cat.
Oh, I want so badly, Abe, please, to keep going. I love it. I'm saving them on my phone because I love it so much, and it's so inspirational. There's the cat. And I'm hoping that we continue giving you enough scenes. I mean, in this episode alone, there's a lot. I mean, fuck, I could picture that Nave scene with the creature in the background. And Abe, please continue your artwork. So I'm going to give 2 MVPs this week. Both of you get XP. Both of you can spend it next week on the game again. And she might need advantage because...
Please. Give generously.
Give generously. That's it from us. Dice Shame is already out. I fucked up and released it a day early, so go listen to the new episode of Dice Shame.
It's a good app. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty
far.
cute. It's very cute. Nice little chill,
Until it's not.
Can't give away spoilers. Other than that, if you are a Durham, Toronto person, Monday nights, starting every Monday night, I'm hosting trivia at Chronicle. Johnny reached out to me. Quizmaster. So if you're watching this and you're in the Bowmanville, Durham area, head out Monday. I'll see you. Beyond that,
thank you so much to our patrons. You guys make all of this possible. You make Dice Shame possible. You make this Shadow of the Warlock possible. Harlan has started a new series. He just released the first part today on our Patreon for our donors.
The Mysterious Package. We also got another video that we're working on right now, which I love, by the way.
So fun. So we're working on 2 video series, actually, for our patrons.
Yeah. Second one's less of a series, but I want it to be a series. Also, yeah, more stuff coming.
I like your beard cut. You did a little trim, didn't you?
Yeah, it makes my face look thinner and sexy.
No, it just looks a little sharp.
Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. We will see you next week with Chapter 4. Have a great night, y'all. And as always...
It's my bedtime.
I think we just gotta stick with see you around the table.
Okay. Well, then you say it.
No, I like when you say it. You say it well.
All right. Well, then you gotta set me up again.
And, as we always say...
We'll see you around the table.
See you around the table, guys. Good night.
Good night.